You're identifying their needs, you're identifying their motivation, because once you have that information, then you can correctly categorize where they need to be in your follow-up. So you've got your real estate license, and now the world is your oyster. You're ready to create this massive business, blow it up, work on your own time, your own hours, and build this empire that we've created in our heads, right? When you get your real estate license, they don't really talk about the business. They pretty much tell you all this stuff about how not to get sued. Here's this law, here's that law. Most of the time, you're not gonna use 80 to 90% of what we learned in the licensing class in the first place. The problem is, real estate agents don't know that when we get started. I got licensed, I thought as soon as I was licensed, perfect, now I can start selling real estate, this is gonna be simple. But what they don't tell you is when you're getting started in real estate, you're gonna be expected to go to everyone you know as if you just joined some new MLM and ask them to work with you, which obviously some people are okay with and it doesn't bother them, and they'll have a thriving business most likely very quickly compared to others. But then there's this small group of us who would rather talk to strangers than people that we know. It was easier to go talk to a stranger and convince them that I knew exactly what I was doing. I was going to be able to help them make one of the largest purchases of their lives. Probably because they didn't know me before I was a real estate agent, when I was doing stand-up comedy, and now suddenly I'm handling the largest asset most people own, which leads us down the trail of leads and online leads, internet leads, whatever you want to call them. Now, the first time you talk to, let's say the first time you talk to a large company that sells lots of leads, they're gonna tell you how easy this is gonna be. They're gonna tell you, hey, you just buy these leads. These are people who wanna go buy houses. These are people who wanna go sell houses. It's not gonna be very tough, but they emphasize that these are people ready to buy a house. These are people ready to sell a house. And all you have to do is convince them to work with you. That's easier said than done. But over time, throughout the years, through countless hours of coaching and scripting and training and all of this practice, you're able to actually start converting these leads. So let's dive into how exactly you convert internet leads for real estate. Now, I'm gonna talk about something that I call a lead letter. Now, this is basically the steps or phases or stages, whatever you wanna call it, of how to actually convert that lead from a piece of information to someone you're working with to help them in the real estate transaction. Now, the bottom rung of the lead ladder, that is gonna be you have somebody's name and email address. You don't have a lead if you don't have at least that. Phone number outranks email address because majority of the time you're gonna be able to get into a conversation either by text or by phone that is gonna be much more beneficial to converting that lead than an email. So let's say you have somebody's name and you have their email address. What do we do? Well, obviously we're just gonna send them an email. Hey, which house do you wanna buy? Or can I sell your house, right? No. So what we need to do is get that phone number. We need to move them up the ladder. We need to take somebody who's got an email and a name and move them to an email, a name, and a phone number. Now, this might seem simple, but you'd be surprised how often it gets missed, and that's why we have the ladder. The next rung on the ladder is a conversation. Now, some people will say, hey, if you didn't talk to them on the phone, if you didn't actually hear their voice, that's not a conversation. I disagree with this. In 2021, which is when it is right now when I'm filming this, you can have a conversation with somebody over text. So we go from email to phone, we have a conversation. What happens on that conversation? What do we do? Well, the first thing that we need to do is decide what is the best course of action for this person. Do they need to go see houses today? Do they need to list their house? Do they need to come into the office so you can sit down and talk about buying a house? Do they need to have you out to their house so you can take a look around and give them an evaluation on what you think it's gonna sell for? Maybe they need some credit repair, so you need to refer them out and follow up with them. But that's the point of the conversation. It tells us what's the next appropriate step in the situation. Just to keep with the ladder though, let's assume that the next best step for this person is an appointment, whether it's you going to their house or them coming into your office to sign a buyer agency agreement. From the phone, the next step is to meet in person for an appointment. And finally, this one's really simple, but the only reason that we meet someone is to find out if we're gonna be a good fit to work with them and to get that signed agreement. If they don't wanna sign the agreement, you work another lead. If they're not a good fit to work with you, you work another lead. So I'll recap this right here, and then we'll dive into a little bit more of the intricacies of the different stages. So from email goes to phone. From phone goes to conversation. From conversation, we go to an appointment, and from the appointment, we get a signed agreement. All right, so now that we've gone over the lead ladder, or as I call it, let's talk about the steps to converting the leads. Step 1, make contact. First step is to get in contact with this person who has come into your pipeline from one source or another as a lead. Now, this may sound simple, but if you've done lead generation before, you probably know it's actually not. The first step, make contact, can be very difficult because not everybody answers their phone, not everybody answers their text, not everybody answers their email, which means you're probably gonna have to reach out more than one time in order to make contact with each of your leads. Also, as time goes on, you're going to have a connection rate or a contact rate that you know is what's gonna happen for different lead sources. So let's assume you're using Facebook leads, you get 100 leads. On average, maybe you're gonna talk to 80 to 85 of those, and that's gonna be a really good connection rate. Maybe you're buying some second day traffic, some old leads, something like that, and the connection rate isn't as great. Maybe it's 50%, okay? But once you've done this, once you've tracked it and you've started to put these numbers next to the lead generation sources, you're gonna be able to know, okay, if I get 100 leads, I'm gonna talk to 80 of them. And we work that down to get to our conversion rates. So the first step was to make contact. Now we want to connect, which means we wanna find out, why is it that they're thinking about moving? What is their motivation? And what problem are we trying to solve? And in the midst of doing all of that, we also want to be building rapport. Because if you get on the phone with somebody and they don't like you, they're never gonna book to an appointment. So we're on the phone, we're having a conversation, things are going well, we're building some rapport, we're finding out what problem are we solving. You're identifying their needs, you're identifying their motivation, because once you have that information, then you can correctly categorize where they need to be in your follow-up. Remember earlier in the lead ladder, we were talking about having that conversation, figuring out, all right, do they need to come into the office for an appointment? Do they need to get set up on a credit repair program? Or what needs to happen? Now, this is really key because we have to identify some time frames. Are they gonna be moving in the next 30 to 90 days? Is that their goal? Do they want to buy? Are they ready, able, and willing to buy, sell, or list? Because your follow-up is gonna be a little bit more aggressive on somebody who's ready to go in the next 30 to 90 days as opposed to somebody who's ready to go in the next 1 to 2 years. So we make that connection. We start to categorize, what do we need to do with this person? How do we really help them? Do they need to meet with us? Do we need to follow up with them? We categorize them appropriately, and then we move to the next step. And this is the step where even if you've done everything right so far, most agents are gonna blow it. This is the follow-up. This is the part where you have to follow up with a lead, sometimes for months, sometimes for years. Now, follow-up doesn't mean you're gonna have to call them weekly. It doesn't even mean you're gonna have to mail them anything or put them on a drip or anything like that. Your system, your processes will determine the follow-up. But let's say somebody's ready in the next 30 to 90 days, okay? How exactly are we gonna follow up with them? Well, somebody who's ready in the next 30 to 90 days, we're probably gonna be reaching out at the very furthest every 2 weeks. So in this stage, here's the script. Hey John, it's Matt, how's everything going? We wanna find out, how's everything going? Because if things aren't going well, it might not be the best time to follow up. We can push it back a week. Everything's great? Fantastic. Well, hey, I was just following up with you because I know you guys were hoping to put the house on the market at the end of August. And as time's getting closer, I just wanted to see if there's any questions you had for me or any way I can help you. It's that simple. Most of the time, they're gonna say, nope, everything's going well. We're still planning end of August. Sometimes, and this is why you follow up so often with a hot lead, sometimes they'll tell you, actually, we're trying to get the house on the market the first week of August. We were gonna call you, but we forgot about it. Can you come out this week or next and get everything going? Now, that's a really fun call to have. And as you do this more, you'll actually get more of those because it just happens. The more you follow up, the more you win. It's this crazy thing, but that's besides the point. So that's the script. You follow up that 30 to 90 days at the very most every 2 weeks. I'm sorry, at the very least every 2 weeks. We wanna make sure we are following up with them at least once every 2 weeks, which in 90 days is only 6 phone calls, and they're brief, Hey, how's everything going? Is there anything I can do to help? You guys have any questions? No? We're still on for the end of August, whatever. I'll see you then. Now let's talk about the leads that are 3 to 6 months out. That 3 to 6 month window is gonna be pretty similar, but they're also gonna be on the drip. They're gonna be getting some texts, they're gonna be getting some emails. They're also gonna be getting those phone calls. Now, maybe it's not every 2 weeks, but at the most, it is every 30 days. So we're reaching out, making sure we are getting in touch with them. Same script. Hey, you guys said you want to get the home on the market by Christmas. Just want to touch base, see if that's still the goal. I know we saw some in the neighborhood oversell for more than they were asking, and it's still looking like a great market. So let me know if you guys have any questions, right? It's simple. We're following up. We're trying to help people. If you take away just one thing from this entire video, let it be this. And before I tell you that, if you're enjoying this, please smash the like button, hit the like button, click the like button, turn it blue, whatever you want to do. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. But let's talk about that one thing I'd like you to take away from this, if nothing else. Leads are people first, not people too. They have problems, they have lives, they have situations they're going through. They are people first, not people too. When you treat your leads like people and not just a number, you're gonna get massively better results. So now let's talk about the people that are 6 to 12 months out. Phone, email, text, they're going on the drip. You're talking to them every 60 days at the very least. We wanna make sure that we are staying in front of those people, because when somebody says they're 12 months out, that can get moved up or moved out. And we wanna make sure that we're spending our time on the people we can help the soonest. So what's an example of that? Oftentimes when you're calling, you're gonna talk to somebody that says, yes, we're really excited to move. We can't do it this year yet. Timmy's still in high school and he doesn't graduate until May or June or whatever. So we'll be ready to put the home on the market as soon as he graduates. We're going on vacation then anyway, so it'll be the perfect time. Great lead. You know their time frame. You just have to stay in touch now. You just have to make sure you're the agent they want to work with when time comes around. Now let's talk about the 12 months or further. And this is the category of leads where so many people drop the ball because, oh my gosh, it's 12 months out, it's 24 months out, it's 3 years, whatever, and they don't want to follow up with this lead. These people should be on a drip getting emails. They should be getting text. You're not spending too much time calling them. If you're focused on calling the people that are 12 months or more out, and you're doing it more than once a quarter, you need to generate more leads, because you should be busy enough with the people that are 30, 60, 90 days out, or maybe even 90 days to 6 months, that you don't really have time to be calling the people that are 12 months or 2 years or 3 years out every single week or every other week. Time is a very valuable asset as a real estate agent, and you really need to nail it down when you're doing lead generation, because it's going to affect your conversion rates. It might not seem like a big deal if you're talking to 10 people an hour versus 15 people an hour, as long as the conversations are good. But over time, if you're doing that 200 days a year, that's a massive difference in your ability to follow up and convert leads. Now, maybe you're an agent who has a team and you've got some new agents that they don't really have much to do. You don't trust them with the brand new leads yet, but you're also not gonna give them the one that people have been working for 3 months, 6 months already. Well, that's a great pool of people for the new agents to call through, because they can find people who have had a situation change. People that were 2 years out are now 2 months out. And you can let the agents call those, as opposed to taking somebody off of your sure thing leads, I shouldn't say sure thing, but you're more likely to convert leads, and putting them on your less likely to convert leads. Do that with a new agent. Do that with somebody who's just getting started. Don't take your best people off your best prospects. So as long as you understand that using the email is only to get to a phone call, the phone call is only to get to a conversation, the conversation is only to get to an appointment, the appointment is only to get to a signed agreement. As long as you're following that and you're using your follow-up system, you're using a CRM, something to make sure you're not dropping the ball, you're not missing leads, then you're gonna be able to convert much higher than most of the agents out there who don't understand this. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, stick around, check out some of the other videos on the channel, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the new ones as they come out. With that, I'll see you on the next one.